Hello, I am here with Jannie Wolff, who is the founder of the Good News Foundation. She just started a new project called Love and Plenty. Her goal is to feed those in need. Welcome, Jannie. Tell me a little bit about how it works. How does Love and Plenty work?
Well, the whole idea behind it is that there are restaurants who are willing to feed people in need, and they just need the funding to do that because, of course, now they've been shut down for a period of time for only takeout and delivery, so their income is limited, and they've lost quite a bit of income. And they've had to lay off staff and let people go. So it's a project to help the restaurants get funding to not only provide meals for people in need, but also to help them to start rehire their staff that they had to
Right.
let go for. So it's also to help put people back to work. And I'm combining artists and designers and small business owners into the project. I do PR and marketing, and so I'm going to be helping those different artists, designers, and small business owners to get their work out there to make sales. And instead of my receiving a percentage from the work that I do, that percentage would then go back to the restaurants to help provide meals for people in need.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of responses to COVID-19, and I really like what you're doing because it's extremely proactive and you're bringing in two worlds. You're bringing in art and food. What inspired you to do that?
Well, that's something I've actually done for a long, long time. I do PR and marketing. I myself, I'm an actress and a writer. I do a lot of work with artists and designers and small business owners. And so to me, to bring together those two worlds for a fundraiser is something that I would normally do even in good times. And, times when everybody was able to go out and have a party or have a fundraiser. And sometimes I would go directly into restaurants or into venues and we would have an art show or something like that. Of course, now we can't do that. And so I was really trying to think right after the restaurants were shut down for COVID-19, I started to think, how can I do what I normally do, but do it in this environment? And so then I started to think about, well, I can do it online. We've got this wonderful technology. I can get people together in an online venue and do it in that way.
You've already helped. Uh, I believe his name is Chef Pino, and he
Yes.
was on a program that was aired nationally, I believe. Can you tell me what that program was and how you got him on there?
Well, that was actually, I always give God all the credit because it wasn't anything in particular that I did. It was a combination of Chef Pino just wanting to help people. And he and I had a conversation about that early on when his restaurant was shut down for just takeout and delivery. He said
What
that
is
he
the
knew.
name of his restaurant, by the way?
Oh, he has two in Hoboken. One is Bin 14 and the other one is called Anthony David.
Okay.
And he and I had a conversation early on when the restaurants were first shut down just for takeout and delivery, that he said he knew that there were people in need in the community and that were going to be in need. He knew the shelter was in need and he wanted to be able to provide food, but he just didn't have the income at that point. And so I started to brainstorm and I started to send him different types of information, different funds and grants that were out there. I started to try to find out about things, send his name out to people. And somewhere along the line between the two of us, what ended up happening is that he decided to do a GoFundMe campaign. And he started to put the word out there about that. And somehow or other, the network that was going to be airing a big concert. It was an hour-long concert called Jersey for Jersey. And it was Bruce Springsteen and Oprah Winfrey and John Bon Jovi and people who were helping out New Jersey for the Pandemic Relief Fund. And somehow or other, through either something that I had sent out or something he sent out, they found out about him, contacted him, and then he ended up having a spot during that show highlighting what he was trying to do.
You've done a lot of work with nutrition, and I know that you're very specific about you're not just feeding people in need, you're feeding people in need with healthy meals. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a real vision that I had after talking to one of my good friends who I used to work with. I worked for many years teaching nutrition and health in the inner city in Manhattan, all over the 5 boroughs. And one of my good friends from that time had taken me out to dinner one night at one of the culinary institutes in New York City. And after the meal, he said to me, if we could teach people nutrition and health using recipes like this, it would be so easy to get people to make the changes that they needed to make for their health. And so then, I thought about it, and we were using recipes that were good. I mean, they were perfectly fine, but we were helping people make meals out of food that you would find at a food pantry, that a lot of times it's packaged, canned, it's not fresh produce, it's not the highest quality in terms of, having gourmet food. And because I know all of these wonderful restaurant owners and chefs, I started to talk to one of the chefs who I knew he does cook a lot of meat. He's not a vegetarian. His restaurant isn't vegetarian, but he does have a big, strong belief in farm to table, lots of produce on that plate, lots of interesting things, not just having a salad, having very interesting things that he does with fresh vegetables. And
You're
so,
referring to Chef Paul, right?
yeah,
What is
yeah,
the name
that's
of
Chef
his restaurant again?
Antique Bar and Bakery, and that's
Yes.
also in Hoboken. Chef Paul Gerard. He has also had restaurants in other areas, including New York City, New Orleans, all over the world. He consults. And I met him through his restaurant, Antique Bar and Bakery in Hoboken. And so I talked with him, and I told him what I wanted to do in the nutrition classes that I was teaching, that I wanted to bring in not just healthy choices, but recipes for people that were on that kind of a level, like a high level.
Hmm.
And because he is a 5-star chef, and he's, what they call a master chef.
So what I'm hearing essentially is that the Good News Foundation, which is behind all of this, is a resource. You source out things, you bring people together, you bring ideas, you bring resources, you bring information to those who need it, just as you're bringing food to those who need it. Um, and you're incorporating art. I mention art because I just saw your logo for Love and Plenty, and it's really beautiful. Who did that? And tell me about the logo.
Well, that was really a wonderful story, because the artist who created that is Dana Gambale. She is a local artist who I met out in Jersey City. And she and I, when we were talking about the project that I was trying to do for the meals for people in need during this time, she offered to create a logo for me. So as we started to talk about that, one of the things that she started to do, because of course we couldn't get together. Normally I would get together and we'd look at sketches and different things. And so she was sending me things through text. And that's been one of the most amazing things during this time, is that we do have this technology that we can use to communicate, and to communicate well. And so she was sending me pictures and ideas, and I was sending her images, ideas. And one of the things that was the sort of foundational idea behind this was the idea of the loaves and fish. And then also there's an Old Testament story about the prophet Elisha and a widow who has nothing but oil, and she's poor and she's afraid she's going to starve. And so Elisha helps her multiply that oil so that then she can sell it and get the other things that she needs. And when I was,
That's really amazing, because I see that in the image. There's oil dripping onto a piece of bread, and it's on a plate, and it sort of reminds me of one of the entrees, or actually one of the small dishes that Chef Paul serves in his restaurant.
well, and that's where that image ultimately got to, because Dana was sending me different things when I gave her that inspiration. And then she was sending me images, and I said, you know what? Can you make the bread look more like the way that Chef Paul makes his bread? Because he tears it in a very specific way that is very creative and artistic and beautiful. And it's not just a torn piece of bread, it's actually something that looks very beautiful. And so, then she sent me something back, but it was just the bread without anything under it. And I said, oh, let me send you a picture. And I sent her a picture from his Instagram account of one of the dishes. And I said, can you add the dish in? And so then she did that. And then it ended up looking like something that would have come out of his restaurant.
Well, it's really wonderful. And speaking of Instagram, what is your Instagram account so we can follow you?
Oh, it's my name, and I'll spell it for you. JANNIE _ WOLFF. Jannie _ Wolff. And that's at
Great.
Instagram.
Well, thank you for sharing this information, and I look forward to seeing what the organization does in the future.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
You too.